What is going on, everybody? Welcome back here to the Off the Mic Sports Network. I did not think within 2 days of, by the way, thanks to everybody who watched me just go to town on the Cleveland Guardians. I didn't think I was going to be doing another Guardians thoughts or Guards thoughts for the rest of the season because I thought this team was cooked. 10th straight loss on Sunday. You guys all watched the video, most watched sports video that was not on this channel that was not a professional wrestling take this entire year. Like, thank you. Seriously. Like, everybody's gotten on me that I do too much wrestling content. Then I show some passion about my favorite baseball team after they completely let me down and got swept by the Detroit Tigers and legitimately had not been able to score a run. You guys heard the stats that I had. 5 shutouts and a 10-game losing streak is just unheard of. Like, it's horrendously bad offense. So I felt that this season was cooked. They're 40-48. They lost 10 in a row. They're going to Houston. They go to Houston, the formerly known Minute Maid Park, and this Astros team that came out here to not that far from where I reside here in Los Angeles, went to Dodger Stadium and absolutely murdered the Dodgers in a 3-game sweep. Like, just, it was like, I think one of the games was like 15-1 or something like that. It was a massacre at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers are a really fucking good team. And the Astros went out there and cooked them in a rematch of the 2017 World Series. Go ahead and insert your cheating jokes. That's still going to be a discussion point as long as the Dodgers and Astros play baseball, that 2017 World Series, no matter what you feel about it, is going to be talked about forever. And the Astros went out there and just absolutely freaking cooked the Dodgers in that series. So my thought process, and my buddy Edgar, who's from San Antonio, has been riding with the tribe, as I say, for a long time, probably even longer than maybe even longer than I have. But I've been riding with this team since I was a kid. And this was about as defeated in the regular season that I had ever felt in my entire existence of rooting for this team. Because normally, baseball is a long season. It's hard to really get invested. You kind of know when you're in or out. Really, you get deflated when the postseason comes out. You're either in or you're out. And last year I was defeated. But in the regular season, that loss on Sunday to the Detroit Tigers was a gut punch because 10 straight loss. You're facing Tarek School. You have a 1-0 lead. You one-hit the Tigers. You're literally a strike away from winning the game. And then a pass ball gets through, and all of a sudden, hey, all hell breaks loose, and the Tigers win it in extra innings. So they go to Houston. I think that this is going to be a fucking funeral. Guardians go out and win the first game 7-5. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the start of, like, a little surge for this team. They get Hunter Brown, who by every metric is maybe you could say Max Fried because of wins, but in terms of earned run average, Hunter Brown is the second best pitcher in the American League to Tarek Skubal. And the Guardians went out there and scored 6 runs off of him. They scored 6 runs off of him. Mind you, this team could not score a run for basically a week and a half. They score 6 runs. Then they're up 7-5. They blow the lead. Jose Altuve gets an RBI single in the 8th inning. And it ends up getting to extra innings, that vaunted ghost runner. They load up the bases, and Angel Martinez hits one barely over the left field wall into the Crawford boxes. The whole dugout goes crazy. Stephen Kwan and Jose Ramirez and these leaders who have been just begging for timely hitting, begging for runs to be scored. And the Guardians come out and win this game 10-6, and they have won a series from the Houston Astros in Houston, a team that beat the World Series champions in a runaway sweep literally days ago. This Guardians team that had lost 10 in a row found a way to take a series from the Astros. And in a moment there where you're like, oh shit, everything that could possibly go wrong in the last 2 weeks has gone wrong. That pass ball on Sunday, they couldn't score any runs through the pretty much since the end of June. And now all of a sudden this team's getting timely hits. Here's a stat for you guys. The Guardians in this series alone, in these 2 wins, 17 runs. 7 runs last night, 10 runs tonight. In the entirety of the 10-game losing streak that transpired and that started on, I think, the 26th. It was the 25th was the last time they had won prior to Monday. In the 10 games that they lost before winning in Houston on Monday night, they scored 15 runs in 10 games. They scored 17 in the 2 wins tonight. I don't know how this season's going to go, but I hope to God that this is some sort of Detroit Tigers miracle run that can be parlayed into something. And then maybe you can finally call up Chase DeLauder, maybe Travis Bazzana, and finally put like some energy into this team. They may still trade Emmanuel Clase because they could probably get something for him. And they've got arms in their bullpen that could potentially make this work. But to see how quickly this thing just turned around, I was ready to fire Stephen Vogt. I was bordering on thinking of Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff. I was ready to fire those guys. I was ready for. I mean, I've been ready for Larry and Paul Dillon to sell this fucking team for years. But unlike the Browns, the Guardians keep winning despite the deficiencies of their ownership. And a ultimate low point may have woken up this team because now back-to-back nights, you've faced adversity. You haven't had any clutch hitting this entire season. And you go to Houston, a team that dominated the Dodgers. You go to their house, back-to-back games, win them both. Not to mention, even though you blew this lead, you get to Hunter Brown, who is one of the best pitchers in the American League, one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Like, this guy had a sub-2 ERA before this game. They got 6 runs off this guy. And then a grand slam that barely gets over the wall. If that was maybe a week ago, that maybe goes to the warning track. But for some reason, magic is back in the air with the Cleveland Guardians. Does this change the outlook for the season? I have no earthly idea. But this is positive. They've got 1 more against Houston, and then they've got 4 against a White Sox team that's terrible. So if you could potentially string this thing out, you got some momentum going into the All-Star break, and potentially maybe this changes the outlook of the season. But I did not expect this to change so fucking quickly for this Cleveland Guardians team. I hope it doesn't give this organization an excuse to stand pat and not do anything, because you still have Steven Kwan. You still have Jose Ramirez, who I think is, people can debate with me about what a superstar is in baseball. This guy's been tucked away in Cleveland for years, and people don't understand that this guy's probably had he's been in the top 5 of the MVP voting for years, and nobody gives this guy the respect he deserves because he plays for the Cleveland Guardians. Okay, this guy has been one of the best players in baseball. Steven Kwan, one of the best outfielders offensively and defensively in the major leagues. And yet nobody else has been able to support them. But all of a sudden, Angel Martinez is getting hits. Like, Jose Ramirez was slumping for a bit. He had a home run in this game. I mean, Daniel Schneemann got an RBI, had a 2 RBI hit in this game. And they're doing this against, Hunter Brown. And then, not to mention, that grand slam came off of Josh Hader. Josh Hader, one of the best closers in baseball, maybe the last 5 or 6 years, who's one of the league leaders in saves. You go out there and get to him in extra innings. Holy fucking shit. I don't know what this is, but I had been joking with my buddy Edgar for a while. I was like, man, all they need is a spark. All they need is a spark, because I've always been preaching the Tigers were not very good at this point of the season, and they took the Guardians to Game 5 of the American League Division Series last year. All you got to do is get in the tournament. And they hit rock bottom, and all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. They just hit the fucking reset button, walked into Houston, and they've beaten the Astros twice in a row. And it hasn't been easy. This hasn't been like a cakewalk. They faced some adversity. This was everything that you need to battle test this team. So hopefully this wakes this team up, and maybe this could turn into something. And hopefully, like I said, all you got to do at this point is tread water and potentially make that surge near the end of the season and just get in. Baseball, of all the postseasons in any professional sport, baseball is such a fucking crapshoot. last year was one of the rare occasions where, the biggest spenders and the biggest money teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees got to the World Series. Typically, you just can catch lightning in a bottle, especially with the shortness of the division series, the wild card series. You could go on a run, and before you know it, you're in the World Series. Like, for God's sake, the Diamondbacks were one of the lowest win total teams a couple of years ago. They're playing the Texas Rangers to win a world championship. Shout out Andrew, and I'm hoping that the Guardians could potentially be at the end of that tunnel at some point, because 2016 still feels like a lifetime ago. But after feeling so deflated, all of a sudden, maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Here's hoping. Stephen Vogt, don't screw this up. You're still managing, out of your ass sometimes. And just let's hope that this can potentially be salvaged for something. But anyway, thanks to everybody who supported that other video. And, if you like videos like this, if there's a lot of Guardians fans, get them over here to the channel. I love talking Cleveland sports. And I need some positivity because the Cavs let me down already. The Browns stink. I don't expect them to be very good. I need the Guardians to be good. Okay? At least until we get to the season and I could have a false sense of hope about the Browns potentially, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but at least some optimism, please. I'm selfish. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.